Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website French auction portal Intrancher, we're going to have a look at an auction by Vichy Auctions, one of the well-known French auction houses that deals with musical instruments. Those of you that watch this channel might know that we did a Vichy auction walkthrough recently. That's because they have 3 auctions back-to-back coming up. They have one on the 28th of November, one on the 29th, which is this one, and also one on the 30th of November. And they are all kind of bowed stringed instruments really. The first auction that we did was kind of lower tier stuff but still pretty good. This is going to be the mid tier stuff. We can already see some better French stuff appearing, and the last one, which I will hopefully also do soon, is going to be the higher level stuff. So it should be an interesting auction. So yeah, this one is finishing on November the 29th, so a few days left to go. Buyer's premium is 25%, so that's what you pay on top of the final hammer price. As this is a French auction house, bear that in mind if you're outside of France. Import, export fees, CITES, shipping, all that stuff. You'll see all the instructions up here. So without further ado, let's just crack on and see what we've got. We've got 408 lots, so we're not going to be able to look at everything, but if we see anything curious, we shall have a look at it, and I'll put a link in the description. You can check it out for yourself, and you can explore it at your own leisure. So yeah, let's see what we've got here. So we've got a violin by Honoré Derazy, Miracle 1860. It's this Differpruger model. I wonder if it has the head on it. Let's see. Yeah, it has the head. So this is kind of a model that you sometimes see coming out of France. This kind of Differpruger kind of homage to this German lute maker, I think. It's a bit of a strange model, interesting corners. 356mm length of back is actually not too bad for these types of things. I'm sure there's people out there that do like these. This one's had a bit of a nasty scroll accident, but I think the majority of people are probably not going to be into this. 1,000 to 1,500 euros on that. You do see them, they're not uncommon. And a violin by Michel Quattro, made in Miracle 1840, 365, very long French violin, as some of them are. Miracle violin 1870. I think we need to just be a bit ruthless, unfortunately, because we have so many things to do. We've got Amédée Dieudonné, etc. Quite a lot of interesting stuff. Pretty French violin, beginning of the 20th century, 359 length of back. It's pretty box standard really, to be honest. Let's see, we've got JTL stuff here. Oh, interesting. Walter H. Mason violin, made in Manchester 1879. That's curious. We don't often see those at the French auction houses. 1,000 to 1,500 on that. Makes a bit of a change to the normal French stuff we got. One of my favourite French provincial 18th century violins. It's got a label repaired by Thibault. 1,000 to 1,200. Yeah, I quite like that. I think that's interesting. Let's see what else we got here. More Dieudonné, Salzar. These are kind of similar names that we saw in the other auction, but I think these are better ones. Let's have a look at this. A violin by Gustave Methfisel, made in Bern 1899. Okay, interesting. That's actually quite a nice violin. It's not bad at all. 1,500 to 2,000 there, 360 length of back. It's just about kind of all right. I mean, I think a lot of players or students, if you gave them a violin and it was slightly over the normal length, they probably wouldn't really realise, to be honest. It all depends on the instrument, but in terms of value, that seems to be a factor. Violin, probably German, late 18th century, with a Hoffmann label. Okay, interesting. 356. It's quite an interesting violin there. 1,000 to 1,500. That's a curious one. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, some good stuff. Violin by Bernard Anselme, Miracle 1770. Yeah, so another one of these kind of interesting French violins that looks like it could be a lot newer than it is, with this kind of weird varnish job. Right, violin by Didier Nicolas Ain, Miracle around 1800. 363. I do like these violins, they're just always a bit long. That one is probably, the colour wise, not my kind of thing, but interesting. Let's see what we've got here. JTL 19th century violin. Let's have a look at these, because everyone seems to love the Colin Mazat stuff. It's a bit of a kind of Guarneri-ish model there. Okay, 1000 to 1500, 359 length of back. Let's have a look at this Jules Galliard violin, 1858. That's quite a pretty back on it there. 362. Right, bows. So I think we're going to have to be a bit ruthless on the bow front. Let's have a look at this cello bow by Morison Frère, 1955. Missing a slide screw. Okay, a bit of damage there, nothing too crazy. Let's see what else we have here. I mean, a great opportunity to buy French bows at this auction, because it's well, French violins as well. It's absolutely chock-a-block with stuff. Just seeing if there's anything super interesting that's worth watching. Let's have a look at this violin bow by Morison Frère, 1950, 1500 to 1800 there. Slightly retouched, rear head slightly retouched, where at the bottom of the stick. Okay, interesting. That might kind of give a bit of concern if there's a retouch on the head. As you wonder what's happened or what's been covered. So it sounds like worth inspecting in person, I would think. Let's have a look anyway. More French violins here. I mean, I think most of the violins in this auction are going to be pretty decent at this point. We're in the good side of the auctions. René Morison violin here, 1952, 1500 to 2000. 355 length of back. I mean, I think that's probably a pretty solid instrument for someone, I would say. So that's quite good. Ah, right, okay, an older Miracle violin here, 1760, 359. Yeah, needs a lot of work, has a bit of charm to it. Let's see what else we got here. A Derazy again, 1870. It says broken core on the table, so I think that means a sound post crack on the front, so that's going to affect the value. Quite nice varnish on that, actually. Okay, violin by Louis Motissier, Miracle around 1830, 1000 to 1500, 366 length of back. Wow, that's pretty long. Quite like that, actually. It's kind of an interesting looking violin, but that is getting pretty long there. Okay, we've got a violin in parts there by Victor Ordonneau Morot there, Paris 1926. Complete but completely detached. Yeah, okay. Interesting project for someone. That's an interesting tailpiece. So, not too bad. Right, German violin here. Violin by Johann Gottfried Hamm, Magdeburgen, 1780. Numerous breaks, 800 to 1,000 euros. You do see these around a fair bit. That's quite a cute little scroll. I don't think they're ever going to be super high value. Oh, right, that's a bit interesting, isn't it? Not seen that before. That's a little bit different. Not sure if that's original or not, so that's curious. Let's see what else we have. Unfortunately, like a lot of this stuff is probably worth looking at, but we need to be a bit careful on time. Violin made in the R&M Millant workshop in Paris, 1933. Interesting how the varnish is worn there. 3/4 violin, probably Italian, bearing a Sacchetti label. It's had some worm to it. Nothing super exciting, I don't think, there. More French violins. Okay, let's have a look at this. Violin made by Thierry at Gosselin, made in Paris, 1820-1830. French head, replaced from the same period, 1000 to 1500. Okay, yeah. Needs a bit of work. Varnish is struggling a bit. That's actually, I think that would be a really nice looking violin when that's kind of restored and tidy up, and 358 length of back. That is quite nice. That's something that I would want to, if I was viewing this auction in person, I would look at this a bit more closely, because it does look quite interesting. Let's carry on. Nicolas Caussin, another popular maker, 1817-1880, 357 length of back. Yeah, 1500 to 2000. It's got that kind of typical kind of dark antiquing Caussin stuff, but that could be pretty good. Some of the Caussin stuff is decent. And let's see, another Caussin there, Caussin School, Neufchâteau, 357 on that. Slightly different varnish on that one. Yeah, quite interesting. Let's see, we should probably look at a few more bows. Let's have a look at this one. Violin bow by Alfred Lamy Nouveau, made around 1920 for Cousineau. Chips on the head. Okay, let's see. Doesn't look terrible. Needs a bit of TLC, obviously. Losing a bit of wood here on the frog, not uncommon. Yeah, I think that's okay. 1500 to 1800 there. Let's see. See if there's anything else exciting. Violin by Maurice Frère, again 1950s. Small fracture at the back of the stick. Okay. And they all come with a certificate at this level of auction, which is interesting. It's a JTL bow here, made around 1950. Yeah, some of these JTL bows can be pretty good as well. Quite good value for money. Certainly a lot less than some of the other French stuff, for sure. It's an interesting one. Violin bow by Cugnot, Huri and Usha, 1920, on the taut model. Slight shine on the head. Okay. I think the translation of that is probably a bit lost. Yeah, interesting. Quite a nice frog, actually. Nice design. Right, some more instruments here. A lot of it's going to be French stuff. See if anything is jumping out. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, we're into cellos now. Let's have a look at a cello. The cellos were quite disappointing in the other Vichy auction, but Mirecourt cello, 20th century, 1200 to 1500. Slightly more interesting than the other ones, but still nothing super crazy. Let's have a look at this. Violin made by Alexandre Carillon, made in Fraise in 1912. Okay, 1800 to 1000 there, 354 length of back. Yep, could be okay. Let's see what else we have. Violin by Joseph Francois Quattro, known as Quattro de Roue, 1830-1840. It's fairly similar to a lot of other ones. Wow, 367. Yeah, definitely getting on the larger size there. Oh, this is an interesting looking one. Violin from the 18th century German school with a Gasparo de Salo label. 349, okay, interesting. Slightly on the smaller side. Yeah, that's kind of got some charm. Let's see what else we got here. A few more cellos. Nothing super jumping out at the moment. French provincial, 18th century. Definitely got to look at all of those. 358 length of back. I just really like these French provincial violins. I think they all make great kind of Baroque setup instruments. That's my thinking. Viola, late 18th century with a Strad label. Looks like it's got a sound post crack. 383. It's quite small for a viola. Quite cool back. Yeah, it's interesting. More bows. Is there anything to look at in this section? Double bass bow. Let's look at something different. Charles Nicholas Bazar there, around 1880, 1500 to 1800 on that. Okay. This is an interesting one. Violin bow by Joseph Gaud, made around 1845, amoret and bone, 1000 to 200 there. Head spout chip, small chip in front of screw and nut mortise, slightly reworked rear. Okay, needs a bit of TLC. Let's see what else we've got. Let's carry on. We've got 9 pages of this, so alright, we've got some ivory frogged bows there. Let's actually look at this violin bow by Emile Francois Houchard, made around 1925, mounted in nickel, silver and ivory, 1000 to 1200. Yeah, this discussion comes up quite a lot about kind of ivory and tortoiseshell bows and frogs and things like that. It's because it's difficult to travel now. I mean, you could potentially buy a bow like this and get a new frog made, but that could be extremely expensive as well. So, or you could buy a bow like this and just use it if you're not really traveling, or you just want something for the home. I guess you could try and see if you could get someone to restore it, but I'm not really sure in terms of restoring ivory bits how viable that is. But I think the market for those kind of bows is a bit tough in general. Right, we've got some other stuff going on here. So far, no super interesting cellos, which is unfortunate. Let's see here. Violin by Philip Keller, made in Würzburg in 1928. It's fairly standard stuff. Let's have a look at this. Leonidas Nagini, made in Paris 1923, 1000 to 1500 there. That definitely has its own style to it. Just needs a lot of work there. 359. Let's see. More cellos, but nothing really sticking out. Another Nicholas Ain there. Oh, what's going on here? Violin made in the Pierre Hell workshop. Second choice, unvarnished. F's partially cut. Okay, 1000 to 1500. That's curious. Oh wow, okay, like a bird's eye maple back. Oh, how interesting. That looks like it's just really dirty. So yeah, a violin that's let's say unvarnished. So yeah, wow, okay, that's really interesting. Well, it might be a curious project for a luthier or something to buy that. A bit strange, don't often see those. Violin by Sebastian Quattro, Marseille 1850, for the 1855 Paris exhibition, 1500 to 2000. Yeah, it's another one of these ones with this thing on that they used to do. Oh god, it's got one of these heads things, so I was going to say otherwise it was quite a nice violin, and up until that point. I'm not a massive fan of heads, unless they're lion heads or kind of some weird animal on violins. If it's a viol or something like that, or a viola da gamba, it's usually okay, but it depends. German violin made in Mittenwald around 1780, 361, 2-3. Yeah, it's had a few cheek repairs, so it would need a bit of work to get it looking a bit nicer, but interesting enough. Let's have a look. There's a couple of interesting violins in this row, actually. Violin by Joseph Charot, Miracle 1820, 1000 to 1500 on that. Yeah, it's a nice looking violin, actually. 1000 to 1500. Yeah, like that, actually. 358 length of back, so yeah, that's nice if I had the money. Interesting kind of fluting here, so quite like that. 18th century violin with a Batiaza label, German replaced head, 355 length of back, 1500 to 2000. Doesn't look like anything too crazy. 18th century French violin with rear headstock, okay, 1000 to 1500 on that. Once again, doesn't look too crazy there. Let's see what else we got. A violin by Jean Streibig, Miracle 1950, 1500 to 2000 there. Let's see, more bows. Anything interesting in the bow front? Let's have a look at this one. Violin by Charles Nicholas Bazat, 1890. Head spout chip, fracture before mortise screw. Nothing too disastrous there. I do like these kind of old bows. Violin bow stick and button by Francois Jude Goliard, 1830 in ironwood. Interesting little detail on there. Quite like the head on that. That's quite nice. 800 to 1000. Let's see what else we've got here. A few more interesting bits and pieces. And let's have a look at this cello bow by Marc Lebert, made around 1940. You do see quite a lot of these French bows with this other kind of wood in the button. It's quite interesting. Let's see. Well, we're only on page 5. It's a pretty long auction. A few more bows here. I think we'll carry on. JTL stuff. Right, violin made around 1790 with a Jacobs label. That's quite nice. 360. Yeah, there's quite a few, I think, potential violins here. Violin by Johann Joseph Stallman, made in Vienna, 1770. 357 length of back. Wow, that's quite a nice looking back here. Definitely needs a bit of restoration. Looks like the part of the varnish has been stripped or something. Looks a bit strange, but interesting project for someone. Violin, second part of the 18th century. Interesting wood choice on that. That's quite a cool scroll. JTL. On to another cello. Let's look at a cello, because I think we haven't really looked at so many cellos, but unfortunately none of them are really super interesting at this point. Mircore violin, 1770. Okay. Let's see, we've got a double bass, a modern 4-string double bass. I think nothing much to say about that one. Mircore cello in a bit better condition than some of the other ones we looked at, 1950, 1920. Once again, nothing super crazy as such. Mittenwald violin there, another double bass. Let's see what else we have here. More. That's violin by Louis Blitz, Rotterdam. Okay, 1937. 356 length of back. That's a kind of an interesting outline there. Every time I see violins with this kind of shape, it just reminds me of a boat. I don't know why, but it looks a bit like a boat to me. Actually, really quite nice looking violin, nice varnish, but the outline is, I don't know, it's just too much of a boat, and I don't think I really want a violin to look like a boat, but purely aesthetics. But it's just this kind of slightly bulbous top and lower bout is just a bit strange to me. My personal preference here. More bows anyway. JTL bow there, 1950. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Okay, interesting. Viola bow made in the style of Nicholas Leonard Tort, made around 1800. Ironwood, boxwood frog and bow button. Yeah, that boxwood frog is pretty awesome. 700 to 800. Wow, you have to make your own head for that one. That's quite a high estimate for like a bow without a head. That's an interesting one. I mean, it's pretty cool looking, but that is a bit crazy. Okay, this is a curious one. Cello bow made around 2000 in Baroque copy in amaret wood. Oh, bone frog. Okay, interesting. It's not very good. It's already lost its button. If it was only made in 2000. Yeah, quite nice looking bow there. 1 to 2000. That's kind of interesting. Unusual frog, but pretty cool. So there are definitely some interesting bows. So let's move on to the next page. See what else we got here. Let's have a look at this bow. Viola bow by Mariella Golbin, made around 1990 there. 1200 to 1500. Right, on to some more instruments again. Let's have a look at Mircourt viola. So we haven't seen many violas. Looks fairly standard. 1000 to 1500. Another provincial violin, so we've got to look at it. Okay, 1200 to 1500 on that. 359 length of back. Let's see what else we have here. Lots and lots of French stuff, but at least most of this stuff is fairly usable, I'd say. Another French provincial violin, 18th century, bearing label thickened and barred by Laguetto in Bordeaux. Okay. It's had the worms have been hungry for that one. Let's have a look at this violin by Léon Mougenot, made in Mircourt, 1910, 1915, sold by the Hell House. That's quite a nice looking instrument, 358, 1500 to 2000. More Mircourt stuff. Let's have a look at this 18th century, second part of the 18th century French violin. It's had a bit of a tough life. It's got some charm though. 361 length of back. It's a bit bigger. Let's see what else we can see. More Mircourt stuff. Right, viola from Sophrolouth, made in Mircourt, 1985, numbered 22. Okay, 1500 to 2000 on that. It looks in good condition. 388. It's a bit smaller for viola. We've got another French provincial violin. This is another one of those kind of ones with the interesting varnish that look a lot more modern than they are. So they were definitely churning them out because there are quite a lot of them around. Another Nicholas Ain violin here. This is a nicer one with the nicer kind of redder varnished as opposed to the brown one, which is not so nice. 361 as well. So Yeah, I quite like these ones actually. These are quite nice. More bows again. Let's see what else we got here. More ivory. Is there anything? Let's have a look at this one. Violin bow by Charles Nicholas Bazat, made around 1890. Exotic wood. Little blows on the head. Cracks on the stick. I think with bows you really got to inspect them. I'm always concerned about bows, to be honest. Always a bit worried about conditions and things. Let's have a look at this one. Violin bow by Marc Lebert, 1930s. Small blows on stick and head. Okay. Let's see what else we might have. It's a 3/4 cello. Another French provincial violin. Everyone's probably getting sick of me looking at these French provincial violins. I just find them way more interesting than the kind of miracle stuff. Let's have a look at this 7/8 French cello. Why not? That's finally something a bit more interesting. Second part of the 18th century. Yeah, that's nice. 3 to 4,000. Obviously, he's had a bit of a tough life. Interesting button there, but yeah, very nice. I like that a lot. That's very cool. So that's definitely a potential one there. Or JTL stuff. Maybe I should look at a JTL violin because I've been ignoring these. 357 on that, 5 to 800, so inexpensive one. Yeah, it looks kind of fine. Looks fairly tidy. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, a viola. Second part of the 18th century. Probably from the French school. Okay. 403. That's actually not a bad size. That's kind of interesting. Quite like a spread out outline. It's kind of quite blocky. This one's been eaten by the worms as well. 1500 to 2000. I mean, worm can be a real problem with instruments. Yeah, it's definitely not the greatest sign, but you know, it can also be an opportunity to get a cheaper instrument. But that is quite interesting. Let's see what else we might have. This is an interesting one. Violin by Georges Apparu, Miracle 1932, numbered 574. Yeah, that's nice. What's the length of the back? 355. Yeah, nice. That's a nice looking violin. So not bad at all. Another French provincial violin with a Klotz label, 1000 to 1200. I mean, some of these are not amazing and don't look particularly amazing, but I think they are pretty interesting. Violin probably made in the Jean-Baptiste Garabeuf Lacombe workshop, Miracle 1875. Yeah, it's got some charm, needs a bit of repair. Length of the back 359, so that's not too bad. Let's see what else we got here. Metissier again, more Miracle. 18th century French violin with its original handle, so neck. Worm bites, does it say? Yeah, worm bites on the head. Yeah, they do like to eat the heads, the worms. Let's have a look. Can't see it so much from that image, so but worth inspecting, I think. Let's see what else we have. Violin Kinyo-Huri. We're on to bows again. See anything interesting? Let's have a look at this bow. Violin bow by JTL, 1930s. Fairly standard stuff there. Not too bad. Okay, let's see. See what's going on. Let's have a look at this. Violin by Louis Joseph Morizon pair, made around 1920. Okay, 1500 to 2000 on that, so that's kind of curious. Right, let's see. Well, getting on to page 8 now, so we're kind of gradually getting closer to finishing. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this auction. It is really pretty crazy. Let's see, a few more bows. Is there anything interesting? Not so much. Let's have a look at this violin from the Mamluk workshops, made in Mirkor of 1930, 1500 to 2000. That's pretty standard kind of stuff. Let's see what else. I'm just going to have to quickly adjust my setup here, because the sun is completely blocking my view and I can't actually see anything at all, so that's unfortunate. So let's see, we'll carry on a bit here. Double bass, another French provincial violin, 1770 to 1775, the Bouquet label. That one not so exciting either. Violin from the Eastern countries, 19th century. Yeah, that's not. I don't know. I would just probably say that that's some kind of German violin, just like a lower level German violin, personally, but not an expert. Violin made in Mirkor around 1860. Darazi school, 1000 to 1200 on that. Here's one of these Richelme violins here, definitely boats, these ones. Wow, okay, that's an interesting kind of scroll or backwards head of a lady. That's kind of a bit bonkers. 700 to 800 on that one. That is definitely an interesting looking thing. Let's see what else. Small viola by Johann Reinhard, Strasbourg, 1779, 1500 to 2000. Small 19th century Mirkor cello with a Basson label, 1000 to 1200. Wow, okay, interesting. 438. Wow, okay, that's really tiny. I wonder if you could almost use that as like a really large viola. Yeah, okay, that's a bit strange. Right, violin by Maurice Rugier, Toulon, 1951. Interesting varnish crackle on that. 361 length of back. I quite like that as well. That has some charm. Violin by Jenny Bailly, 1950. I actually haven't seen any Jenny Bailly violins for a while, so good to see that. 19th century Mirkor, another JTL. We've got a few more bows. Let's have a look at this one. Cello bow by Louis Joseph Thomasin, 1890. It's had a break at the head, so that's gonna have an effect on the value, but might be a good playing bow if it's a solid repair, and at least it's not going to cost a crazy amount of money. So that is the benefit of buying a broken bow. You can sometimes get a decent bow for not so much money. Violin bow stick from the German school, made around 1920, 1200 to 1500. Interesting head. Okay, we're on to the final page now. Let's see. Okay, violin bow stick in the style of Duchesne II, ironwood, 1805, 1810, €800 on that. I think that's cool. Yeah, I do. I really like those kind of bows. I think they're great. Right, a few more instruments, it looks like. Another provincial violin. Excellent. Oh, wow, there's really nice back on this one. 358. Yeah, interesting. Looks like it's been scratched to death in a way, like above the grain, but kind of, yeah, interesting looking back. Maybe that might be an okay thumbnail, because I've been struggling to see anything that might be good for a thumbnail, so I'm trying to remember that one. Lot 902. Let's see what else we got here. Violin, second half of the 18th century with an Amatus label. Big F holes there. Nothing too crazy. Let's see. Another French provincial violin. I have to stop looking at these, I think. They are getting a bit samey now. 18th century French violin. That's not so nice. Another provincial one. Why not, as we're here? Yeah, it's quite nice. 355. Slightly odd kind of outline. And the F hole length and position it's had in the middle, you can see it's had some bad repairs done. And I think that is basically it. So that is the Vichy auction finishing on the 29th of November, the middle one of 3, so kind of middle tier stuff. The next one will be the better stuff. Pretty cool auction, to be honest. Loads of really interesting stuff. Nothing that's like really like kind of grabbed me is amazing, but it's a solid lineup of stuff. Obviously loads of French stuff, as you'd expect, but a few other interesting things in between. In general, yeah, pretty good auction. I was actually quite impressed. So put a link in the description, check it out yourself, see what you think. Lots of cool stuff. Don't have the time to go through all of it, but definitely check it out. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.